This is definitely carbonated.
Definitely carbonated. So the one that I took that was like shaking it all up, that would have been bad. Interesting.
But this is the preface. Okay. Like the instructions on how to play a perfectly simple board game, what follows sounds far more complicated than the actual practice it tries to explain. I wonder how long this bit is. Oh, it's not terrible. If, therefore, the explanation below makes you want to throw the book across the room, please remember that the book is very heavy. That's true.
Wow.
And that you can, of course, read it how you like without referring to this guidance ever again.
Interesting. Wow, they're kind of self-aware.
Yeah.
It's like Lemony Snicket.
I'm enjoying this so far.
Okay.
This
the first
book, but that's just based
or two?
on this paragraph about how to read it, and also the one sentence of the other thing I read.
Yeah.
Song titles, essay/article titles, and television programs and series are given inside single quotation marks. Album titles, book titles, and film titles are given in italics. Short quotations from other works and other people are given within single quotation marks. Longer quoted passages are given as inset paragraphs. For most entries, there is a main text and then, inside square brackets and in smaller print, some endnotes. Each main text is complete in itself, and you need feel no duty to wade through the endnotes at all. But should you demand to know publication details of particular sources drawn upon for the facts offered in the entry, or for particular books or articles quoted, the discographical details of records mentioned, this is where those details will be, so that you don't have to go backwards and forwards between the entry and somewhere else hundreds of pages away in the process. Within the main text, the appearance of capitals or italic capitals inside of an entry indicates that the topic receives an entry of its own, with the exception of works of Dylan himself, in order to avoid an unnecessary blizzard of capitals. If an entry relates to a person, the entry heading will include the year of birth of that person, where known, and the year of death, if known and applicable. If the entry relates to a work, a song, an album, a film, never officially released, or released only in a much later retrospective collection, the entry heading will include the year that that piece of work was created. If the entry relates to an officially issued work, the date will be the year of its first release. Within the endnotes, the publication details will follow convention. That is, details about a book will be like author, title, place of publication, name of publisher, year of publication. There may be additional information, example, and then it's just an example. Details given about the article will be article, title, name of journey, issue number and date, place of publication, date. Details given about an online source will be author where stated, nature or title of text stated. Okay, I don't think we need to read the rest of this.
I think it's like kind of intuitive, you know?
So now we go, and these are some people, some things. Alberta. Song Alberta is, as far as I knew, it was a Clapton song.
Alberta is a Clapton song, okay.
Yeah. Song Alberta, with Dylan sings twice on self-portraits, and then was not very different from Alberta number 2, seems to have come together the Doc Washington rag out of traditional black and white lyric offcuts, pinned and dressed up with a few arty chords. It's definitely possible Clapton simply had a version of this song.
Alberta?
Yeah.
Wow. I think that, well, do you want to take bets on who did it first?
Well, I don't think it was either of them now.
Really?
I think it was just one of those songs that's been around for a real long time, and whoever did it first we've probably never heard of.
Huh, okay.
So there's Alberta Blues and the other Alberta song, which is the provincial song of Canada.
Okay, I don't think we're talking about Alberta, the provincial song of Canada.
I don't think so either. Okay, it's the title of several traditional blues songs.
So maybe Eric Clapton's Alberta is different than Bob Dylan's Alberta.
Yeah. Should I answer?
I guess. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, this is a very interesting podcast, listeners. Grace McGee has just gotten a phone call.
It said, thank you for choosing Hilton Hotels.
Interesting. Grace McGee does not like Hilton Hotels, and so she hung up immediately.
Can we just clarify it's not an opposition to Hilton Hotels? It's the fact that I have had no interaction recently with Hilton Hotels, and so I don't think that that phone call was for me.
Huh. Maybe they're trying to scheme you and scam you into something.
Perhaps. Well, let's just see what this is.
Yeah.
It is also casually reminiscent of Karina, Karina, Baby Let Me Follow You Down, and A Girl of North County are dull, but not as dull as dogs. Okay, that wasn't that interesting, to be completely honest. I was expecting it to be more interesting.
I think most of these entries are gonna... Wait, what is this entry that's like multiple pages wrong?
Howard.
Howard Out. Who's Howard Out? He was a great bear of a man, only described this way not only by Larry Sloman, who encountered him on the Rolling Thunder Review in 1975, but by Bernard Stallings, who remembered Alk from Chicago in the 1950s. How is he important to Bob Dylan?
I don't know. I'm trying to find that out.
I guess we could read the entry, but that seems like a lot of reading.
It's a lot of reading. He was a filmmaker. Longtime friend and collaborator Bob Dylan, whom he met in 1963. The two worked together on the films Eat the Document, Hard Rain, and Ronaldo and Clara.
Huh. Interesting. I guess. I didn't know Bob Dylan made films though. Did he do music for this kid films?
I don't know.
All Along the Watchtower.
Recorded on November 6, 1967, this spare dark song came out of the John Wesley Harding sessions that yielded such a stark rebuke to the Summer of Love and such contrast to Dylan's previous mid-60s work. See, this is the thing I was talking about him being known to be skeptical.
Yeah.
To be cynical. The nature of the length of the song, as it struck us when it was new, was a sort of impressionism revisited, but no longer reflecting the summer tension in the city, as did Blonde on Blonde, and instead reflecting wintertime in the psyche.
Wintertime in the Psyche.
Yes.
Interesting.
Helped by having an allusion within to T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, which I have not read.
Is it a book or do you think it's a poem?
I don't know.
I don't know enough about T.S. Eliot though, so I guess we can figure it out. Did it stop recording?
How does it end the start song? There used to be two alternatives. Either it was experienced as a circular, drawing an added element of menace from the very endlessness and the nightmare vision offered. It does sound endless as a song because when the guitar is so repetitive, it's the same riff.
Yeah.
It just, you don't know when it's gonna end. It's one of those songs. Was experienced? The song going around.
He was an essayist and poet, T.S. Eliot.
So then it must have been either an essay or a poem.
Yeah.
Although it could have been a book.
It could have been a book. Yeah. It could have been a book.
How does it end? The song going round and round. So the helpless cry, there must be some way out of here. Because that's the first one.
There must be some way out of here.
Of course, Hendrix says
it's wrong.
Some kind of way out of here.
Yeah, but that's
Which
wrong.
I personally like better. I think it flows more nicely.
I don't think you need
Max
it.
here will disagree
No.
with me.
Because you're like, there must be some way out of here. And then the other ones, you just...
There must be some kind of way out of here.
But he's like doing it like... He has a different tempo to the song.
That's true.
So I feel like it works... if you're going to do it the right way, then you were to say some way out of here,
So
as
do you
opposed to
think
some kind of way
Hendrix
out of
is
here.
just playing the song wrong?
He's making a cover, which is his own prerogative, but there is a right way to do it.
Is there?
Yeah.
So the entire song is wrong though.
Hendrix's?
Plays it.
No, it's just his own version of the song. But he's not playing All Along the Watchtower. He's playing Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower.
Okay. So the helpless cry, there must be some way out of here, recurs after the wind began to howl. Or else, if it were not experienced as circular in that way, then it was felt as to end, as Richard Goldstein argued in A Village Voice Review. On an emphatic full stop indeed, a terrifying full stop. Just three clean, razor-sharp verses with an end that signifies the end of everything. Outside in the distance, a wildcat did growl. Two riders were approaching as the wind began to howl. And that's how Hendrix ends it, but he has more guitar, so it feels less abrupt.
Yeah.
As Goldstein says, the suggestion of menace in these lines was far too ominous and powerful for them to be concluded with a series of dogs. Dylan, though, has other ideas, and in the last few years he has been performing the song in concert in such a way as to give it a third ending. In this version, There Must Be Some Way Out of Here does recur after The Wind Began to Howl, but not because the song never ends, rather because Dylan chooses to finish it in a way that once reduces its apocalyptic import and hugely cranks up its emphasis on the artist's own centrality. Repeating the first stanza in the last means that Dylan now ends the line with, businessmen, they drink my wine, plowmen dig my earth, none of them along the line know any of what it's worth. So that's within the first verse, but that's not the first bit. Wait, let me think about that. Is that within the first verse?
No, that's second.
Yeah, businessmen, they drink my wine. But that's before it gets really like ominous, because I think like you really see this like apocalyptic vision when he comes in with the part like outside in the cold distance, right? On the first live performance of All Along the Watchtower, which was the opening night of the comeback tour in Chicago on January 3rd, it was, from the outset, the Jimi Hendrix version rather than the song that Dylan offered. Heavy rock.
See, it's Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower. Even the book says it. It's like his own version. Like Bob Dylan acknowledges that has a completely different meaning.
Yeah.
When Jimi Hendrix sings it than when he sings it. I don't think he thinks it's bad. You know, because he performed it at that performance.
I don't think that it has a different meaning.
I think it does. I think that it's the lyrics are exactly the same, but the tone and the way it's gone about like performed, I think that changes the meaning of the less nihilistic apocalypse to more of like a modern day, like, oh, we're all gonna die, but we're all like joking about it.
I don't think that it feels that way. I think that it feels like just as heavy. It's definitely like different, but it still retains that like sense of disparity.
Yeah, well, there's despair, but like it's also like it's less. I think it's less heavy. I think Hendrix is less heavy and is easier to swallow by a larger audience.
Well, I think that it's easier to swallow because the instruments distract from like the lyrics enough that you don't have to think about it.
And
but I think it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there, but that's another commentary on what makes Dylan's and Hendrix's versions different. That the instruments have a distracting element in Hendrix's, and so it's also saying that like people are being distracted by the apocalypse, by all this new form. I don't know if they truly believe this, but there's a big disparity between like around the time there's a lot of like distraction coming about. Like there's like the rise of television and news and all these different things that are easily distracting people. It was like during the Korean War, right? I'm not really sure. Something like that. But there's always things distracting us from the apocalypse, right? And I feel like Hendrix really acknowledges that more than Dylan does. But he's also by distracting us from the song with the rest of the other instruments.
I don't think that that's true, because when you look at it as a Dylan song, that is what you see, that it's more distracted. But when you look at it within the context of Hendrix's music, it's a lot less. There's a greater emphasis on the lyrics than in most of his stuff.
Yeah, but compared to like Dylan's stuff, the emphasis on Dylan's lyrics.
But it's not a Dylan song anymore at this point.
That's a good point. Okay. But if you were to compare it to like other Hendrix songs, because
you see that it's
the
rhythmic and continuous and lyric focused in a way that Hendrix's stuff doesn't tend to be.
But that's because it comes from this Dylan song,
yes,
as opposed to what Hendrix writes.
That was Hendrix's effort to retain this like apocalyptic vision. I think that if he wasn't trying to retain that, he would have made it.
I think what I'm trying to say is I think it's a different kind of apocalypse. I think Hendrix is like talking about like a lesser apocalypse, like a less total apocalypse than Dylan's talking about.
Perhaps.
And that's encouraged. That's not encouraged, but that's like conveyed through the like more of the instrument, because there's more instruments in Hendrix than there is in Dylan's.
Yeah, but I think I would argue that that's just the nature of either artist's style, but I think that's up for debate.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It was eventually given a sustained rest in 1997 after we played at 40 out of 40 concerts in 1974.
Wait, 40 out of 40? Is that uncommon for people to play all their concerts that they plan on playing?
No, like he played this particular song at all of them.
Oh, okay. I guess, no, I mean, I don't know a lot about the technicalities of touring and playing songs and stuff like that, but I think artists would like create a set of songs that they play at every one.
I think they change it up.
Alright. I don't know a lot
I think
about
I'd get bored if I was Bob Dylan and played the same
That's a
set
good point.
every night.
But I mean, you have to fill a certain amount of time, so I guess he has more than 100 songs, like Elvis Presley.
Yeah, he's got a lot of songs, man.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's still doing stuff.
I guess a lot of the artists I listen to don't have more than 100 songs because they haven't been
They're
around
new.
that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're new.
I get
They have an album
I
or
get
two.
really angry when I listen to like artists that aren't like haven't been around because I'm just like that's
You just-
it.
you
Like
just
you have like
run out
one
of things.
album.
Yeah,
and that's
it's just
all.
you just gotta listen to that. Yeah.
Because if I listen to someone, I like get into them and I listen to like everything they've come out
Yeah.
with, and I expect that to be a lot of stuff. So when it's not, I get upset.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think the most recent artist you gotten into that's like has a single album only?
Cosmo Pike, he has like one EP, and it's really
really good?
good.
Cosmo Pike.
But it's just the one. He has like 6 songs.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Do you think he's gonna come out with more music, or do you think that's it for Cosmo Pike?
I think he's gonna come out with more music.
Okay. Is it because he's new, or is it because he just doesn't come out with music very quickly?
I mean, he doesn't come out with music quickly compared to like the Beatles, but like it's mostly just because he's new.
Okay.
Like it's only been 2 years.
Do you think the Beatles has more than 100 songs?
Oh yeah.
Do you think they have more than 200 songs?
They have. Okay, let's see. They came out with.
They have 12
They
albums,
have 12.
right?
Yeah, 12 albums. I think and then like 13 singles and a few EPs. I don't know how many.
Okay.
12 albums, and there's at least 10 songs on each album.
Okay.
There's more than 100.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty good. Do you think Bowie has more than 100 songs?
I think they have more than 13 singles. I bet Bowie has more than 100 songs.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
From August 20, 1992 till August 3rd, 1997, it became the 3rd song in every Bob Dylan concert.
The 3rd
5
song.
years, yeah.
Interesting. It's always all on the watchtower. Do you think the number 3 has any relevance, or do you think it's just like... Do you think the important thing there is that he played it at every single one?
I think the important thing there is that he played it every single one. I think it was just 3rd because of like his like set list.
Yeah.
It worked as 3rd.
But also, at the same time, he didn't play it first or last, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it might be
it was
his
never a
most
big
known
seller
song.
before
Hendrix.
Like it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a Dylan song until I got into Dylan, you know?
That's a good point.
It's more well known, I think, as a Hendrix song. I could be wrong just because I listened to more Hendrix growing up than I did Dylan, but
Yeah. Huh.
this song's the reason I got into Dylan.
All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah, because I heard
Alright.
the Hendrix version.
Okay. And you thought the Hendrix version was good?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you think the Hendrix version is one of his like 10 best songs of All Along the Watchtower?
It's one of Hendrix's?
Yeah.
I think so. I like it because it's a little different from his usual stuff because he's very blues based, and I mean so is Dylan, but Dylan also has a strong folk influence that Hendrix doesn't usually have. Because it's almost a ballad Along the Watchtower. It's short, which makes that an unusual thing to say. But when you look at the lyrics and the story that they're telling,
it means a lot.
Yeah.
Should we skip to a random page now?
We can skip to a random page, or we can keep just looking through.
Oh, Woody Allen. Annie Hall, dismissal of Dylan in. Oh. I just got excited because I knew Woody Allen's name. Although I'm not in support of Woody Allen because he is a sexual predator.
Okay.
I also tried to watch one of those movies recently before I knew he was a sexual predator. Actually, no, I think I knew. I was just like, I'll just watch this movie, and it was really bad, so I couldn't finish it.
Let me know if there's anything you want me to stop at.
The entirety of American folk music.
This is surprisingly short. Like, that one director had more.
Yeah.
They had more to
Who
say
was
on
that
him
one guy?
than all of American folk music. This doesn't seem all that interesting.
No. Wait, I think this is something specific.
Yeah.
It's 1952 to 1997. It's not those dates.
Those are the times in which folk music has existed. Now that it's past 1997, American
just-
folk music no longer exists.
We can just look at it in retrospect. Interesting.
Who is this?
it?
Angelina. Recorded at the Shot of Love sessions in 1981, Angelina remained unissued until the box set of the Bootleg series, volumes 1 through 3, a decade later.
Huh. I don't know if I want to read all that about Angelina, because Angelina has multiple pages.
Yeah.
Wait, do you think Angelina was a girl that Dylan likes?
I mean, I think Angelina's an album, but it could have been named after a girl.
Yeah. Like, I know it is an album. I guess I didn't know that, but like...
But why do you think... Oh my god!
Angelina.
Oh my god!
This is so many pages.
Oh my god. Angels. Okay, this might be interesting. Okay. The word angel comes from the Greek angelos, meaning messenger, but angels, says the Bible, are sent from God to guide and or protect us, much like the good fairies in fairy tales. Traditional Catholic beliefs is that every person has a guardian angel. Pope John Paul II reasserted the existence of angels in 1986. They are defined attractively in Paul's epistle to the Hebrews, in a passage that also yields the well-known phrase, "a little lower than the angels." Okay, what does this have to do with Dylan?
I don't know. In Christian hierarchy, 9 orders of supernatural beings lie between God and the people. Seraphim, cherub, and thrones, contemplative God powers, contemplating God and reflecting His glory, dominations, virtues, and
this is when it
power.
starts talking about Dylan.
Oh, okay. And precious
angel. Then Dylan is punning on angel, i.e., so calling the song's addressee because she has been sent by God to guide him to the Lord, and calling her angel securely because she has become his beloved sexual partner. She has to be a human creature for his union to be blessed, as the singer believes it is. Hence the line, "What God has given us to no man can take away." This is taken straight from Matthew 19:5-6. They twain shall be one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder.
Repeated verbatim in
so
Mark
does son.
10:9.
Opening phrase, "precious angel under the sun." It is part of Dylan's greatness that in the best of these Christian songs, he can press it into a service so much scriptural movement, yet keep his lines so sounding so casual, so conversational, so expressively relaxed. That's true. That kind of points to like the slightly ominous nature that his songs tend to have.
Yeah. I think that's just the style of his writing.
Yeah.
But, who knows?
Repeated incarnation, the memorably famous passages from the brief but hugely influential places upon which Dylan draws many of the songs from "It's Alright Ma, I'm Only Bleeding" to "Pressing On," and from "Joker Man" to "Tell Me." Alright. Do you want to read about the Animals?
The band, The Animals?
Yeah.
I mean, what did they make other than House of the Rising Sun?
A lot of stuff.
Can you name anything else? Can you name any other song by the Animals?
I'm not into the Animals.
Other than House of the Rising Sun. I'm not.
I've heard other stuff by them.
I'll read about the Animals.
I don't remember it.
The Animals were an early '60s British rock group from Newcastle. They wrote House of the Rising Sun, and that's where the entry ends. It's really interesting. They arose after the keyboard player Alan Price quit local group the Kansas City Five, which included drummer John Steele. Do you think it's Steely Dan? To join the... No.
Why would it be?
I don't know. To join the Contours, which included bassist Chas Challenger, later to be the man who brought Jimi Hendrix to Britain and his stardom.
Oh, wait. I'm pretty sure House of the Rising Sun... Wait. Never mind.
and singer Eric Burton quit to seek his fortune in London. The Contours eventually became the Alan Price R&B combo, with Steele coming in. Burton returning early in 1963, and guitarist Hilton Valentine augmenting the lineup and prompting the name change to the end.
Dylan did House of the Rising Sun first.
Did he?
Yeah. I remember reading about this because
So the Animals have no good songs. That's what you're trying to say?
You don't know that. Name one bad song the Animals have had.
The one after House of the Rising Sun on the album House of the Rising Sun. I have the vinyl at my house. I'll put it on, and then I'll listen to House of the Rising Sun because it's the first one on the thing. And then I'll stop it. And I'll take it off, and I'll put on, like, you know, Bowie or something, whatever else I'm listening to that day. The Animals
it's an old folk song. It's been around.
The Animals were Newcastle's best beat group, playing raw and exciting
Do you want to
music.
read this entire thing about the Animals, or do you just want to skip to the interesting part?
Yeah.
Okay. The House of the Rising Sun captured the virtues of the group's live act on record, something that eluded many of the best British beat groups of the day, and was inspired by a fusion of traditional folk words and rock. It is the record that disputes the claim that the Byrds created folk rock, though it did not kick off the folk rock movement as the Byrds' Tambourine Man, and Dylan himself did.
Wait, the Byrds wrote Tambourine Man?
I thought their version came second.
It might have. This is just a culture of people stealing from each other.
Yeah.
Not stealing from each other, I guess taking inspiration, because no one seems pissed about it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, people wouldn't have been. It's like, it's the way
It's
it
just
goes.
how it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
folk music and blues music.
Yeah.
I definitely thought Dylan's version came first, but I definitely could be wrong.
It was instead heard as the House of Rising Sun, I think, they're still talking about. Yeah, the House of Rising Sun was instead heard as part of another movement. In the UK as part of the beat group Boom, and in the US as the British Invasion. It reached number 1 in the US and the British charts, and on the back of the Animals toured America and
Dylan did it first.
And on the back of it, the Animals toured America and met Bob Dylan, briefly. They had much subsequent chart success, including with a very respectable version based on Nina Simone's of Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. In another way, too, their House of the Rising Sun was ahead of the time. Long before, like a Rolling Stone, it broke the 3-minute rule for singles. And by a long way, it ran to 4:30 and was also the first British-made US number 1 since 1962, not written by Lennon and McCartney. What Lennon and McCartney do you think they're referring to?
I don't know.
I think it's, what's his
Peter?
name? Peter Lennon and Paul... Fuck. Fuck, there's so many names I could have gone with that would have made that joke good. Peter Lennon and Peter McCartney.
You can't think of another name.
I can't think of another name.
Other than Peter and Paul. Mary.
Maybe Peter... No, maybe Paul Lennon and Peter McCartney. Interesting. That really didn't tell me anything about... Ooh, there's pictures. Alright, time for our next segment, describing pictures.
Man stands. He's wearing a striped tie and plaid shirt, which I think is extremely questionable.
Yeah.
Holding a fiddle and a bow.
He has big ears. He's a white man. He has short hair. It's kind of scraggly. He's very happy looking.
Next picture, a man.
Wait, underneath the photo it says Roy Acuff, 1948.
It's from the Library of Congress.
It's from the Library of Congress.
Next, there's a picture of a man presumably named Johnny Ace, based on the fact that is what is the words beneath the picture.
Mm-hmm.
He wears a hat. He smokes a cigarette. He has a vest and a jacket and a tie and a shirt and pinstriped pants. And he's holding another jacket and some gloves.
He does look like a mobster, I would like to point out.
I don't think so. I think you're wrong.
I think the hat really makes him look like someone from Casablanca.
Yeah, but he doesn't look angry enough to be a mobster.
That was mobsters'
things.
Eyes. Like, there's some mobsters who are really angry, but some mobsters who are really, like, suave and stuff. Like,
no,
Johnny Ace, he comes in, he's really suave, but he still has his pistol, and he still shoots people.
He looks like not angry, like in a timid way, though. Not like, he doesn't look confident enough to be a mobster.
Huh, maybe. Alright, our next person is...
Well, there's a very happy-looking man,
yeah,
I would say.
He's sitting in the doorframe of a log cabin. In the background seems there's maybe a field or maybe the ocean. It's very unclear. It's out of focus.
Probably a field. That's my guess.
Well,
he holds a banjo. This is my favorite one. This one's I really enjoy this.
Yes.
Clarence Ashley, maybe his name. Bob Yellen. This could be our next Bob Max.
Yes, Bob Yellen. It's from the Smithsonian. He's wearing suspenders, a white button-down shirt with a white shirt underneath. He has a hat, not unsimilar to Johnny Ace's hat, although Johnny Ace has a mobster-style hat, and he more has a field hat. He's an older man, glasses, big smile, cuffs rolled up.
No, they're not.
A little. You're right. They're not. They're unbuttoned though.
No, they're not.
Wait. This one's unbuttoned. That one looks. No. Huh. I guess they're not unbuttoned. Cuffs not unbuttoned,
They're
not
just
rolled
full,
up.
Max.
They're just regular cuffs.
Regular cups. Below there we have a picture from the Library of Congress. Harry Belafonte at Brown versus Board of Education rally in New York, 1960. And there's a bunch of people. Oh.
There's more.
Next
pictures.
we have a picture of Chuck Berry.
Interesting.
By Sherry Ryan Barnett.
Yeah.
And he's playing guitar, as he does, as you
Yes.
do if you're Chuck Berry.
Sometimes you just do that when you're Chuck Berry.
Yeah. David Bromberg. I'm going to be honest, I don't know who this is.
Wait, did you know who the other people were?
No.
Okay, I was
But
gonna
I
say.
know who Chuck Berry
Yeah.
is, so I figured this page would be people who know who they are. And I've heard of Curtis Blow.
Okay. What about this
Of course,
sign?
only that. You know that Leonard Skinner song? No, you wouldn't. But
Curtis Blow. I
talks
like
about
his
this
shirt.
guy.
It's a
Yeah.
very interesting shirt. It's very ahead of the time. I could see someone like Childish Gambino wearing that shirt on stage in this day and age. It looks like it's fishnet, let me tell you that much,
Yes.
audience.
And then we have a sign.
And then we're reaching the end of the A's.
Australian Bob Dylan Convention.
Wow.
There's an annual Australian Bob Dylan Convention.
The annual Australian Bob Dylan Convention was founded by Robert Kohler in 1992, and except for two Vienna-based festivals at the end of 1990s, organized by Rainer Vesely, Kohler had continued to organize and oversee the venerable event. It had usually been held at the amazing Castle Plankenstein. Do you think it's Plankenstein or Plankenstein? Spread over several days each May or thereabouts, and providing a unique venue and an occasion for people to come together over and over again down the years. While it has attracted foreign speakers including Michael Gray, Stephen Scobie, and Paul Williams, it had been at the heart of a German-speaking Austro-German and Eastern European rendezvous in and around the countryside courtyard of this medieval castle in the hills, encompassing the playing of rare video, audio, and live music, merchandise stalls, and the consumption of huge amounts of beer. And I guess it's about... No, it's the Austrian, not the Australian.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, because I mentioned Australia not once in that entire sentence.
You also mentioned Bob Dylan only once.
Yeah, that's kind of suspicious. Was it actually about Bob Dylan?
I was like, what are all these German people doing in Australia?
Yeah.
I mean, it must be.
All right, now let's skip the bees, because we don't like the letter B on
what
this
about
show.
the Beatles?
No.
Really? I feel like there's supposedly he introduced them to weed.
Wait, what about the band?
You want to read about the band and not the Beatles?
What is the band like a band?
Do you not know the band?
No.
They played with Dylan for a real long time. They do that one song. They do a lot of songs.
Song, sing. They seem so generic.
Let's.
The band. Okay. No, we're.
No.
We'll go a little bit further. The band has
see if
too
there's
long.
anything about the Beatles. We don't have to read about the band, but I want you to know who they are. If you're gonna know anything about Dylan.
Okay.
The Wait, that one song. You know that song?
No, I don't know the weight.
I don't know if you can hear it or not.
I can't hear it at all. Why don't you crank it?
I have headphones in my pocket if you want.
No. I mean, I'll listen to it at some point. I don't think I'm ever gonna know the band though.
It wasn't playing. That's why you didn't hear it.
Interesting.
Fool.
Hey, the Beatles. Pop group.
Oh, that was really disappointing.
See Harrison, George, Lennon, John, McCartney, Paul, and Star Ringo. Oh, they have their own like sections.
This isn't You recognize it?
Not really.
Okay.
Being Unable to Die.
Oh,
What is that about?
Imagine the darkness that will fall from on high, asked Dylan, clearing, enjoying, and imagining it himself, especially the torture. When men will pray to God to kill them and they won't be able to die. In this dark scenario, on Precious Angel in 1979, Born Again on the album Slow Train Coming. Dylan has an album called Slow Train Coming. Okay. Is laid out both in the Old Testament and the job. Speaks of those bitter in soul, which long for death, but cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. And the Revelation 9:6 looks forward, like Dylan, to a time of scorning, and in those days shall men seek death, shall not find it, shall desire to die, and the death shall flee from them. This is the prospect that Dylan refers to a quarter century beforehand, though with a healthier detachment on this earlier occasion. In the Gates of Eden, where he sings, leaving men wholly totally free to do anything they wish but to die, and there are no trials inside the Gates of Eden. That's kind of terrifying.
That's wild. He's a wild man.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Beats really quick. As in...
You want to talk about...
Kenneth Patchen, Jack Kerouac, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, and Ginsberg. One thing I'd like to say about the Beats is they took inspiration from William Carlos Williams and E.E. Cummings. I want to be so cool that everyone just respects the fact that my name is just in lowercase. Like E.E. Cummings, wherever he's printed, he's just in lowercase because that's like his thing, right? I want to be like that. That is
that
influence.
revered, that people just get it.
Yeah. One other thing I want to say about the Beats is not actually about the Beats, but I'm still working my way through On the Road by Jack Kerouac, and I'm enjoying it. I think enjoying it a lot.
Good.
And so, but I mean, it's taking a long time because I don't read very quickly, and I think I have to read The Politics of Experience by R.D. Wang before I finish On the Road.
There's a lot about Chuck Berry.
Do you think Bob Dylan has his own section in his own book? Can we go to D and find out if there's a section for Dylan Bob?
Yeah.
What would they say?
There's a lot of
bees.
A lot of bees.
Oh wait, is there Bowie? Wait, let's see if there's Bowie in here. I don't see why there would be though. Brownsville Girl. I guess that's a song he made.
Why is it so important?
I don't know. Wait, we passed it. We passed where it would have been. Book. So, Bootleg Series 5. What is Bootleg Series?
That was a collection of Dylan songs that came out at some point. But they were like songs that just hadn't been released previously.
Yeah. Born Again. The period. A slow train coming to the Born Again period. That's a long one. Oh, I guess Bowie would be here, huh? No Bowie. Okay. I went to the Bowie Museum in New York, and so I'm a professional Bowier now.
Wow.
David Bowier. What were we gonna? Oh, we're gonna look
See if he has
yeah. Oh, I guess it might be under Robert Zimmerman also.
Possible. Charles Ray.
Tracy Chapman.
Oh, there's so much about Charles Ray. Oh, wow.
That is to say, Ray Charles.
Yes.
Of course. For those who don't understand our backwards speaking.
I mean, it's pretty standard. Desire.
Okay.
Dennis.
Maybe it talks about, like, the origin of his name.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be pretty far...
Next, we can look at Suze Veloto.
Suze Veloto?
Yeah. She was an interesting character.
The Desolation Row Information Service.
Oh.
What is that?
This film participating briefly in an episode of 51's the episode is titled Play Lady Play, as Dylan is seen himself as yet a band leader sitting there as a Dharma. On drum says, "You can count in," as Dylan replies, "I'll count in, yeah, yeah." A short conversation follows in which she casts doubt in his taste for funkiness. Dylan picks up a guitar, sketches some Marlinga and polka-style riffs, and laughs. Dylan agreed to take part after being asked by one of the sitcom's writer, Eddie Grodetsky, and Dylan acquaintance. Taping took an hour. Dylan appeared unbilled.
Huh, so he just showed up and did that for a second?
I guess.
Oh, wait, what is this? Dignity? I guess it's a song that he wrote. I'm not familiar with all of his music. Do you think we should be responsible for knowing more about the people who are doing this? Because I know you know a pretty good
Yeah,
amount.
I feel very underqualified to be doing this podcast.
Point, after reading this.
I felt underqualified from the beginning, to be fair.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the thing about Dylan. The amount I know about Dylan is a lot to know about most people. But some people just know so much about Dylan that the amount I know is not very much.
Unlucky 13th album, though barely counts since Dylan didn't attend its compilation or release. Essentially a malicious record company response. There's no Dylan. Oh.
Dylan Bob, the family background of.
The family background of Bob Dylan. Wait, and then there's Anna Dylan. Wait, who's Anna Dylan? Only daughter of Bob and Sarah Dylan, was born in Woodstock, New York on July 11th, 1967. Jacob Dylan said in an interview that she is an artist. She has chosen to have no public presence in that professional capacity. She is believed to be married and living in Santa Monica, California. She's believed to be married. Imagine being Bob Dylan's kid. It's so wild. Anna Dylan.
I'm pretty sure his son sings for the Wallflowers.
Bob Dylan's son?
Yeah.
No, it says there's no other kids.
Really?
Oh, only daughter. Never mind.
Only daughter of Bob and Sarah Dylan.
Did Dylan have any other children with other people?
I don't know.
Huh. Interesting. Jacob Dylan. Jacob Luke Dylan was born in New York City on December 9th, 1969. The youngest child of Bob and Sarah Dylan, he is the child for whom Dylan is supposed to have written the Planet Waves song Forever Young. Is that I Wanna Be Forever? Is it that one? Planet Waves? I don't know. The band's... After attending art school, Jacob formed the band The Wallflowers, singing, playing lead guitar, and writing all its songs. The band's debut album, The Wallflowers, came out quietly in 1992, and though not a great commercial success...
He's got another son.
Jesse Dylan. Interesting. The whole Dylan family.
Yeah. At some point I want to read about the Zimmerman family.
The Diller Liberation Front. Maria Diller? Oh, Samuel Dylan? Sarah Dylan?
Do you think that she's the person he wrote that song, Sarah, about?
There you go. Maybe.
Just
Sarah
maybe.
Dylan. But why was she Sarah Dylan and not Sarah Zimmerman?
Because he went by Dylan at that point. He didn't go by when he was dating Susie Relotto, if that's her name.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find this story in here. He didn't tell her that he I want to come back to this.
He didn't tell her that
he didn't tell her that his name was Robert Zimmerman.
Really?
Yeah, she found his draft card. It fell out of his wallet, and that's how she found out what his name was.
Was it a big deal?
Yeah, she was like, "What the fuck? Why didn't you?" Like, they were living together at the time, and she was like, "You didn't tell me your name?"
Wow.
Yeah, true story.
Huh.
Wait, QRSTUK.
Wait. Rolota?
Yeah. PQ. Okay. I'm pretty sure. I think that's her name. I really want to read her book, but I don't have time to read things. She has a book. It's called A Free Willing Time, I think. No, wait. That was something like that. I don't know. And I really want to read it, but I'm probably not going to.
Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll has its own entry.
Rock and Roll. I kind of want to read that.
It's kind of really long. Oh, that's just the history of rock and roll. How do they put?
Well, I mean, it's Dylan was a big part of the history of rock and roll.
Yeah.
At some point, he becomes Rolling Stones. I also want to read about. Oh well, it doesn't talk about song. Well, we'll see if we can find a thing about Muddy Waters, but that'll come later.
Waters, yes.
Okay, here we go. So this is long.
Rotolo. Susie Rotolo.
Okay, I was close. Okay, so I don't really want to read the whole thing. But she was with him, like, okay, you know, A Free Willing Bob Dylan? You know that album?
Yeah.
You know the album cover?
No.
Okay, well, it has two people on the front, and one of them is Dylan.
And one of them's Susie Rotolo.
Yeah.
She met Bob Dylan in the first half of 1961. She was already a seasoned attendee of Hootenannies at Who's this Hootenannies? At Gertie's Folk City, performances in Washington Square Park, and concerts at Carnegie Hall. Though it's often said by Dylan commentators, not just Dylan commentators, that she first saw Dylan at his first paid gig, which was that April 5th at the WOA Music Center for University of New York Folk Society, which she attended. She says she first saw Dylan while he was playing at a hootenanny with Mark Sopelstra, and though she was more attracted physically to the latter, Mark Sopelstra, he had lovely shoulders. Dylan's harmonica playing had an earthiness that was wonderful, and she was a sucker for anyone who plays a good harp. Wow. Dude, I think I gotta get into the harmonica. So
Why?
I can get... Because Susie Rotolo likes the harmonica, and she was attracted to anyone who could play a good harp.
All right.
Which then again, they're two different instruments, but I think harp might have been slang for harmonica.
I mean, I feel like... Wait, where's the sentence? It probably just means heart. And then, okay, and also, like, the reason, like, she's a lot of the reason he got so into, like, activism.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
An interesting point it makes here. For starters, she was there with Dylan on the cover of the Freewheeling album. Still a teenage girl, yet looking far more mature than the Gallup, New Mexico, tail-spinning, huck-fin-face youth she's arm in arm with. And that's Bob Dylan. He looks like a child in that album cover. Like, not like a child, but like he has a very boyish face, and you really see it in that album cover.
Interesting.
Which John do you think this is?
John Steinbeck. John Mulaney. Oh, that one. So this
is the album cover. So she looks like
and that's
an adult.
Susie Rotolo.
But he looks like a child. But
he really does.
Got a few years on
like
her. She's no more than 18 years old. I don't know her exact age, but she's...
He looks like what I imagine Holden Caulfield to look like.
That's a very interesting, very specific...
I mean, not exactly, but like pretty similar. Like I imagine he sort of had... Like Holden Caulfield sort of has that same sort of disposition. Like kind of awkward, but very... caring. Do you think Bob Dylan ever read The Catcher in the Rye?
I have no idea.
I think he'd either like it or hate it. You know, it'd be like.
I feel like most people either like it or hate it.
Yeah.
I've never read it, but everyone I've heard either talk about it either loves it or hates it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then they broke up. He wrote "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," which, like, that song, I don't know how familiar you are with the lyrics, but it's one of the most, like, passive-aggressive songs I've ever heard.
Because it's about Susie Rotolo.
Yeah. Like, it's fine, like, you just wasted all my precious time, like, whatever, like, don't think twice, you know? Its line, "I once loved a woman, a child, I'm told," reuses a remark of Robert Shelton's to Dylan, telling him how young Suze was. And the magnificent boots of Spanish leather. And some more songs. I think the boots of Spanish leather is the important part. And and here it talks about the thing where, like, when she stopped being with Dylan, like, people were super angry at her because they're like, he needed you, and she's like I like have like a life, like I have my own things to be doing. I can't just be like sitting around like with this boyfriend, you know. Stayed away about seven months and returned to much hostility in the village, including from Johnny Cash, from those who thought it their business to tell her how she'd hurt Bob.
No,
because he was so well liked. And so, like, that community, like, had a lot of respect for him, and so they were angry.
That's really
when
insane.
she left.
Because she broke up with him, right?
That's what it sounds like. But like she didn't want to be.
Yeah, I
like
get,
she didn't want her life to be tied to like this guy that she met when she was a teenager. You know?
I get that like entirely, and it's kind of wild that everyone's just like attacking her after that. It's just like, come on.
It's really, really strong sexism.
Yeah.
In the years after their demise as an item, Rotolo retained Dylan's respect by her determined silence and her absolute refusal to give interviews. The first interviews she gave were for Victoria Balfour's misleadingly titled the book Rockwise, and for the Robbie Wolliver's book Hoop. Okay, this is, I think we've got a good, we've talked about her a bit. I think that's, who I want to read about is Edie Sedgwick.
I don't know who that is.
She was an actress and model involved in like the factory.
Yeah.
Oh, let's read about the factory.
Do you think it's in here?
I bet it is.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's find it.
Wait, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Alright, wait. No, we're almost there. Allen Ginsberg has his own spot. Interesting.
How long has this podcast been so far? 50 minutes.
Interesting. Let's talk about the factory, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. I think let's try to make it an even hour.
Wait a second. I don't think it's here. How do you spell factory? F-A?
F-A-C. It's not in here? Wouldn't it be... If this is F-A-R... Oh, but this is E. F. That's weird. Okay, well, we can look for Warhol.
Yeah. Well, that's way back here.
We can also look for Sedgwick.
Who's Sedgwick? Oh, he had participation in the factory.
Yeah, and she was in love with Dylan.
Yeah. No.
There were rumors... Oh, I found Muddy Waters.
But that's not who we're looking for. We gotta go way
back. There were rumors
back.
that she was pregnant with his child.
Huh.
I don't know that they were true. Oh, here we go. And
wow.
he wrote like Rolling Stone.
About her?
He wrote leopard skin pillbox hat about her.
Once upon a time,
Lou Reed wrote Sally Can't Dance about her, but I don't know if you're familiar with Sally Can't Dance.
Maybe.
The Velvet Underground wrote what's it called? Femme Fatale.
About her?
About her. Per
was it just
Warhol's
because...
request.
Oh, huh.
Because he was like, I think she was dead by then, and he was like, here, write this as a tribute to her.
Was it just because she just hung around the factory where all these people were just hanging out?
Well, he was good. She was friends with Warhol for a long time. And she worked on a bunch of like films. Like she was in a bunch of films.
Interesting.
That you can see. I don't know, they're pretty interesting. But she, I think she got like addicted to heroin and died.
That's how it happens. I mean, we can figure it out.
I mean, well, that's definitely what it says in Sally Can't Dance.
Sally Can't Dance.
Yes.
Oh, she got addicted to heroin.
I don't know that it was her, but she was definitely on something and died. She grew up on a family ranch in California, attended private school, and had already suffered 2 breakdowns by the time she met Bob Newirth, Bob Dylan's mid-60s sidekick. He had a sidekick named Bob.
We can go talk about Bob Newirth next time.
Yeah, I bet he's I want to see what information this book has on him, too.
Newirth, his sidekick.
Bobby Dylan and I occasionally ventured out into the poppy nightlife world. I think somebody who met Edie said, "You'll have to meet this terrific girl." Dylan called her, and she chartered a limousine and came to see us. We spent an hour or 2 all laughing and giggling, having a terrific time. I think we met upstairs at the Kettle of Fish on McDowell Street. McDougall Street, which was one of the great places in the 60s. It was just before the Christmas holidays and it was snowing, and I remember we went to look at the display on Houston Street in front of the Catholic Church. Edie was fantastic. She was always fantastic. We met, that is to say, a month before Edie Sedgwick met Andy Warhol, and 3 months before she starred in her first factory film, Vinyl, shot in March 1965. That year she also appeared in Space Restaurant, Poor Little Rich Girl, which was what Warhol always called her while spending her money, Kitchen, Horse, and Beauty. In 1966, she was supposed to have been the star of Chelsea Girls, but Warhol supposedly edited her out after she quit the factory. The Warhol people, Andy Paul Morrissey and Gerard Malonga, all felt that she quit because she'd been misled by Newirth into believing that both that Warhol was exploiting her and that Dylan's people were going to make her a real star. See, yeah, that's the thing. And Dylan seemed to think that Warhol was exploiting her based on the lyrics in like Rolling Stone. When he says, you ride on a chrome horse with your diplomat carried on his shoulder as a Siamese cat.
Yeah.
Ain't it hard when you discover that he wasn't really where it's at after he took from you everything you can steal. Those lines are about Warhol.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Mike Seeger, Pete Seeger. How many Seegers are there?
I don't know, man. I only know Bob.
Bob Seeger. Really? Yeah. Is there a Bob Seeger?
Yeah.
Huh.
Famous singer. Okay, anyway, there's no evidence and no real grounds to suppose that Dylan and Eddie had any personal relationship at all, let alone a significant one. She comes into the Dylan equation only because people used to believe that she is the girl whispering in Dylan's ear in a photograph on the fold-out sleeve of the original Blonde on Blonde double LP, and because of a persistent hunch by many people that, with however light a prompt, she was the Blonde on Blonde. Patti Smith said so in her poem, Edie Sedgwick. Everyone knew she was the real heroine of Blonde on Blonde. She was white on white. So blonde on blonde. Smith's poem goes on to hint, and again this was widely whispered, that Edie Sedgwick was the subject of the album's song, Just Like a Woman. She broke down like a little girl, like a baby girl, like a lady. It has also been claimed that she was the woman who wore the leopard skin pillbox hat. That she is the...
Debutante?
Yeah. Inside of my mobile with the Memphis Blues again. This may all or mostly be untrue. But even if it is all true, it doesn't signify Sedgwick was a significant person in Dylan's life, only that she was an interesting spectacle or personality, visually memorable and made more so by the air of tragedy she carried around with her. In the fog, perhaps, in her fog, in her amphetamines and her girls. Just to give you, she definitely, when it says, a visually interesting person, she definitely was. She had a really unusual and interesting look, which is probably why she did so well in The Factory.
She is blonde.
Yes.
Sometimes.
So, yeah, that's interesting. That's all I have to say about that.
Alright, let's find Andy Warhol and then be done with this. Not that I'm not having a good time. I just don't think podcasts should go.
Podcasts should. I don't think that it was ever going to be a high quality podcast.
That's a good point. What you gonna do? Eric Weisberg. Winston A. Watson. Imagine if your name was Winston A. Watson. Don was. Oh my god. That's the best fucking name I've ever heard. Ian Wallace. Andy Warhol.
Andrew
Warhola. Interesting.
Was born to the blue-collar Slovak immigrant parents in Pittsburgh on August 6, 1928. Quintessentially, his 60s silk screening and the New York City pop art movement, most quintessentially in his 1960s silk screening and in partnership with others, made a large number of underground movies of deliberate technical amateurness and interminable length, starting with the silent black and white 321-minute Sleep in 1963. He was also the designer and producer for some of the Velvet Underground's debut album in 1967. The thing about this is, his actual role that he played in the making of, that music is, really unclear. What did he even do? Who knows?
Yeah, but, didn't he, hire them to do that? Or wasn't he,
I think so.
their, benefactor or something like that?
Yeah, but it's confusing, what his role actually was,
Yeah, because it seems like you mentioned that he asked them to make femme fatale, but he can just do that. He can just ask them to do that. It sounds like he's just their boss.
Yeah, might
be the case.
And that's the reason that they had Nico on that album is because Warhol wanted them to, but then it didn't work out. That's why she's not in any of their other stuff.
Yeah,
it's just the Velvet Underground and Nico, and then everything else is just the Velvet Underground.
Interesting.
Warhol's career was dedicated to a nihilism that was timely and useful as a deflator of old pompous that had lingered in the post-war world. It also combined a number of sayings, preeminently, in the future everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. It is one of the things for which he remains famous. One of those who became briefly famous on his slender coattails was Valerie Solanas, and one-woman scum, Society for Cutting Up Men, who shot Warhol on June 3 in 1968, putting him in a hospital for 2 months and herself in prison for 3 years. I did not know that happened.
Wow, he got shot.
For his main connections to Bob Dylan, see the entry Sedgwick Edie in the mid-1960s, when both men were so iconic and cool that it was painful to see them together. Dylan was briefly one of the subjects of a Warhol's camera movie. He sits there in the factory trying to be as immobile as the Empire Building for, it is said, 15 minutes. A little of this footage is used in Scorsese's No Direction Home as Warhol gets his special thanks in his credits. Their less mesmerizing but more comic connection is in payment, Warhol gave Dylan a painting, one of his Elvis series, based on a publicity still from the decent 1960 Presley film Flaming Star. And Dylan swapped it for a sofa belonging to his manager, Albert Bresson.
She's like, okay.
Andy Warhol died of complications following a gallbladder surgery in New York hospital in the early morning of February 22nd, 1987, aged 58. Valerie Solanas barely outlived him, and she died of pneumonia in 1988.
Huh.
I did not know he was ever shot.
Wow. I mean, he didn't die because of the shooting, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, like, if someone hates you enough to shoot you, or, like, has, like, and I don't know, I feel like being shot is, like, significant.
That's a good point.
Even if you don't die.
I think the best part of this was that Warhol gave Dylan a painting, and he traded it for a couch.
For a couch?
That's so good. Like, that's definitely a Bob Dylan thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I can just sit on my couch and I can play my guitar. But then if I have a painting, what can I do with the painting?
Trade it for a couch.
Trade it for a couch, yeah. That's the only use for a painting. Trading it for couches.
Trading it for a couch.
Probably get any couch. If I had that painting, I could probably get any couch in the world. I could trade it for any couch in it. Maybe, like, almost any couch in the world.
Any couch, like, that you've interacted with.
Yeah, any couch that I've seen.
Like, I don't think I've sat on a couch that's so nice that someone wouldn't trade it for, like, an original Warhol painting. Yeah.
Although, who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know what couches I've sat on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's any couch that's expensive enough for it to, like... I don't know. Well, thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah.
This has been the Bob Dylan Podcast. Next week, it will still be called next time, I guess, it will still be called the Bob Dylan Podcast. Just, I don't know if we're going to be talking about Bob Dylan next week. So.
It also might not be called the Bob Dylan Podcast.
I think we should consistently call it the Bob Dylan Podcast, and then.
Okay. But just be talking Arid stainless steel sofa. How much does it cost? It's worth $300,000.
Well, how much is an original Warhol?
I don't think it's $300,000.
Follow us on Instagram at grace.m.mcgee or at Maluminium.
Or at the Bob Dylan Podcast, but not actually, because that is not a real handle.
We might
go ahead and look it up anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might make it.
If it's not taken by the time we publish this, we'll probably get on that. The Bob Dylan Podcast. And people who actually want to make a podcast about Bob Dylan might be kind of pissed about that, so that'll be kind of funny. And I guess tune in next time to have a good time.
For today.